have one of the most exciting shows. When I tell you that we are opening our January 2024 year with a bang, we fully well know that everybody is showing up for Netflix. We hit a record on our RSVP, so thank you, and we intend to deliver. So welcome to our first DataHub Town Hall of 2024. So I do want to introduce our special guests at the beginning. So Kevin, if you could raise your hand, and Ajoy, just raise and say hi. As you guys know, they're going to be discussing here at the end how Netflix is teaming up with us to make DataHub more extensible. So instead of our case study, I do need to announce, because I know some of you are here for KPN. Our KPN presenter actually got sick and is unable to present, so I do apologize. We promise that we'll make that up to you if you're here just for data products, but please do stick around because we have an exciting show planned. All right, let's get started. So what do we have in store? First and foremost, I will spend a few minutes doing our community updates, shout outs, and announcements. Yay! And then we'll have Shashanka and Maggie, as usual, go over some exciting project updates for 2024. We then are going to have some insight into our product roadmap, both for OSS and Acryl Cloud. Then we're going to have Mr. John Joyce. Raise your hand. Yay! Hey, John. He's going to go over Acryl Observe and Databricks. We're then going to have another session by him that was originally supposed to be done by Hagen, but she is out, focused on what is new to DataHub, and we're going to talk about data incidents. And then last but not least, like I said, we are going to talk to Netflix a bit about how they're helping to make DataHub more extensible. So again, we have a packed agenda. Thank you guys so much for joining. Let us get started. Okay, so DataHub community update. Like I said, before I get started, since everybody is joining, could you guys, to get the chat going, could you tell me where you're from? Whether you're on YouTube or in Slack. Let's make sure you guys can hear me. Where's everybody from? Let's put your country in there. Hello, hello. Yes, you are from Chicago. Cold out there. I want to make sure everybody's hearing me. New York City. Okay, Netherlands. Yay, we got another New York. Singapore. Wow. Thank you, Alan. Hey, Paris, India, Phoenix, Netherlands. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then let me see on YouTube. I know we had one person from Uganda. Yeah, lots of New York in the house. UK, thank you. Oh, return to Denver. I hear you. Yeah.
We got folks everywhere.
We got folks everywhere. Amazing. I'm seeing New York. Oh, John, San Diego. He probably has sun. Whatever. Good weather. Okay.
John's just out in San Diego getting a tan while all of us are freezing to death.
Yeah, I'm like San Diego, meh. Yeah. All right. And I see some of you here that I recognize, like Tom. I recognize you from the community. Gabriel one. Awesome. It's good to see a lot of familiar names as well from the marathon. So thank you. Tanning in the floodwaters. Ouch. Sorry about that, Dan. Aichi. Sorry about that. All right. Okay. So before I actually get started, one of the things that I started doing is I wanted to get an idea of like where people are from. So actually, before I get started, I do have a question because I always like to know. I wanted to find out, like, what stage are you in your deployment? And this is actually important because we're trying to just understand our community. So if you don't mind, I'm actually going to launch a quick poll. And if you guys could let me know what stage you're in, that'd be great. If you're on YouTube, just go ahead and type it in. So if you guys could take the poll real quick, I'll leave it open and just let me know what stage you're in your deployment. It just helps to better inform us, honestly, on like our content and our team. Let me see here. All right. Oh, I see in YouTube we have someone from Switzerland, which is super cool. All right, I'll give it a few minutes. People are still replying. We're about 56%. I'll cut it off at about 75%. Let's see here. South Africa, I love it. Okay, South Africa, and you're deployed. I love it. Cool. All right, we're about 65%. Give me a few more responses and I'll shut it down. All right, if you could answer our poll. Let's see here. Okay, I think we hit about 65%. So I'm gonna go ahead and show what people are still responding. I'll go ahead and end the poll. We're almost there. And then I'll go ahead and share the results. Oh, this is a little bit different than the last time. So this is very cool. I love this. All right, I'll go ahead and share the poll. I'll close it off now. We still have responses coming in. So just to kind of share the results, very interesting is that over half of you are running production. Can we say yay? Thank you.
That is outstanding. That's outstanding.
we love
Holy
it.
moly.
We have about 13% that are evaluating our data hub. We have about 14% run the POC, and then 20% are deploying to production. And then we have about 2% that are looking at our Acryl Cloud, our managed data hub. So hopefully you guys will love the people who are looking at Acryl Cloud, even if you're not. The Acryl Observe Databricks stuff is really cool. So anyways, thank you guys so much. This is helpful. Like I said, it helps to inform us on what kind of content to bring. So thank you so much. All right, now let's get back to our regular screening. Okay, are you guys able to see my slides? We're rock and roll here. Okay, let me get this off my screen. 1 second. Okay, so we've had a very exciting month. If you guys are inside of our Slack channel, you probably saw that there was a little bit of a mini celebration. Guess what, guys? So we hit over 10,000. I do have it in our announcements as well, over 10,000 Slack members. Thank you, thank you. We have about almost 800 weekly active users. We've had, we just had the holidays. We had almost 2,700 messages posted, and of course, about 250 reactions. Now, I do need to tell you the only reasons the reactions are lower is because me and Maggie actually went on a little bit of holiday. All right, so we'll be right back with our 500 to add to that. But thanks to everybody who uses the emojis. By the way, I'm about to add some new emojis to the community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. All right, let's talk about support volume, the things that we care about. So what's happening in GitHub? So we've had about an average of 40 PRs that's been opened up per week in the last couple of weeks here. It's fairly consistent, but I know that now that people are back from the holiday, we're expecting this to ramp up a bit. So thank everybody who is submitting their PRs. In addition, we've had about 260 messages per week. So we're about up 14% in our messages. As you guys know, we are constantly working on ways to improve our support. So we just appreciate you guys. And if you guys are in there helping, thank you so much. So talking about help, I don't know if Sudukara and Excel are on here. Sudukara is actually one of our DataHub champions. He is our #1 support in the channel as well. Can we just give him a round of applause? Like, I honestly, Sudukara, I don't know how you do it, but your DataHub fam, Excel as well. And then there's so many other people, like seriously, the reason we thank them is because they just volunteer, right? And they're helping out in the community, and we appreciate it. And so this long list of people here, I'm going to be proud to say that also we have Nicolai here and Patrick. They're also DataHub champions. Thank you so much for your support. And then it's just names I noticed here, like Jasminko. He was on the marathon, so thank you. And just everybody else. If I haven't mentioned you, just thank you. And again, we do appreciate your contribution. And please, whether it's only one question you can answer, we appreciate the help. That's how the community runs. So thanks everybody for your ongoing support. And then I already made the announcement, but we just need to take a minute to celebrate. Guys, we hit 10,000. I think we're at 10,030. Can we just say, thank you guys so much. DataHub is doing amazing. Internally, we're so busy. I don't know if we celebrated yet. Like, I've been trying to have a party. And I think Krishanka is like, let's get back to work. But we're super excited about this. So thank you guys so much for helping DataHub to grow. And yeah, the more the merrier. So let's look at 2024 as let's grow together. Okay, upcoming events. So many of you guys know that we recently updated our calendar, and I noticed that we already have over 200 of you subscribed to our calendar. To get to the calendar, just go to events.datahubproject.io. Officially, that's where all of our events are going to be launched. So it's not up there as yet. I will do it this afternoon, but we are having our monthly marathon coming up again, because some people asked me, they're like, I intended to come and I missed it. We're having our marathon again on February the 8th. One big change is that we are going to have it for 6 hours versus 12 hours, because we noticed that a bulk of our requests come in between 8 a.m. New York Eastern time and 2 p.m. New York Eastern time, okay? So it's really important. If you guys want to join the marathon, the event will be up, but do me a favor, go to events.datahub.project.io and I can put it in the chat. And if you subscribe, you'll always be ahead of our event. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Shashanka and Maggie. So let's get started.
Awesome. If you can go to the next slide, and Miko, if you can do me a favor, I don't think I'm able to check the meeting settings. It looks like the chime is happening for everybody and not just the hosts. So if you can you take a peek at that while I'm going through slides? I can also share my screen if that'd be easier.
Yeah, could you share your screen? I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Sorry about that, guys.
Again,
that was Miko and
no
I were
worries.
kind of messing around with some new channels and must have slipped by.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll deal with the chimes. No worries. Go ahead.
Cool. Okay. So let's talk project updates. So if you've been to a town hall before, you have likely seen kind of our shout out to contributors. We skipped this view of it in our December town hall, which was actually earlier this month, because we did kind of a full retro of the full year. So I wanted to pause and make sure that we gave a big shout out to all the contributors, or all the folks that contributed to both the main DataHub project, but also our Helm repo within December. So what you're looking at is a combination of all of our contributors between last December and January of this month. We had, I mean, just between those 2 months, we had about 200, just under 280 PRs merged. 36 first-time contributors, which is outstanding, and nearly just as many as our repeat contributors. So massive shout out to all of you folks. Thank you so much for your amazing contributions. This includes contributors to V12.1, which was released towards the end of December, and then also what's upcoming in our next release, which is going to be V013.0. All right, Shashanka, I will hand it over to you to take a peek at what's coming up in V013.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, we'll keep this short. There's a long list of commits that have gone into 0.13 that's coming up. The usual categories: user experience, metadata ingestion, platform, developer experience, etc. On the user experience side, a bunch of UI enhancements, small fit and finish items that are really going to make some of the broken glass feel much better, some improvements on the GraphQL side as well. And a lot of fundamental or framework improvements in error handling. So, you will see much better errors showing up anytime there is a backend error or a problem in, writing something or receiving some data from the backend. Moving on to metadata ingestion, a lot of connector enhancements. Teradata was a big one. I think we shipped a big improvement. And then a lot of other sources also got enhancements. Superset in particular is getting a lot of love lately. So we're expecting to see a pretty big improvement to the superset connector for people who are paying attention. Databricks as well, getting a lot of improvements. Airflow, Evergreen, also getting quite a lot of improvements. SQL parsing continues to be something that we excel at and are getting continuously better at. So we're improving our accuracy there as well as our coverage. And you'll see that happening in the next release as well. You'll see even more coverage of different warehouses and different scenarios for SQL parsing and profiling. Moving on, next slide. On the developer experience side, you'll see a bunch of improvements that have happened. If you are maintaining a fork, you are probably overwhelmed at the number of framework and foundational changes that we've made over the past month. It was very conscious for us. There was a lot of platform and tech debt that we had built up over the years around, JDK, how we ran CI and things like that, including the front-end build system. So what you'll see now is if you update to the latest, you'll see a much faster build. You'll see much better CI performance and things like that. On the SDK side, lots of improvements in, the SDK when it comes to handling errors, and a lot of security improvements as well. On the platform side, ton of improvements. There's actually like a big improvement to lineage queries that we just recently shipped. You'll see a lot of better performance overall with the DataHub platform when you upgrade to the latest release. Small stuff that's under the radar, but important, support for policies, more than 10,000 policies. Yes, some people have that. They're running more than 10,000 policies in DataHub. And when you have those kind of scenarios, you'll see much better performance. So all in all, a pretty impactful release, both from a performance and from a capabilities perspective. Back to you, Maggie.
All right. So we are going to zoom through this pretty quickly here, but so if you were in our session in earlier this January, Shashanka did a kind of an overview of all of the kind of items on our 2024 roadmap. So wanted to give you kind of a brief update of what we currently have in flight and what's to come within Q1 specifically. We'll also be updating our public-facing roadmap on it's features-requests.datahubproject.io. So all that will be publicly available as well. In terms of metadata ingestion for Q1, the two sources that we're going to be focusing on are going to be Open Lineage. That is highly, highly requested across the community. The other thing is going to be making sure that we have robust support for column level lineage within Spark. On the user experience side of things, we are introducing the ability to raise incidents within DataHub. So on a given data set, if there's some type of downtime, maybe there's a backfill, maybe something has happened to your data entity, you can raise an incident and kind of have that full log of incidents created, resolved, outcomes, all of that fun stuff. This is actually what John is going to be giving us a peek at in an upcoming session. Separately for data products, so we do have native support for data products within DataHub. The additional features we'll be working on are going to be native support for inputs and outputs, or within the data mesh world, referred to as inlets and outlets. So basically kind of building out that lineage graph and kind of expanding on the lineage view. On the developer experience side of things, we'll be building out support for actually writing metadata back into your source. So if you are, for example, if you're syncing metadata from Snowflake or dbt, if you are making edits within DataHub on maybe a description at the dataset level or the field level, what we will support is actually writing that back to the source so that we have kind of that bidirectional sync enabled. Separately, we're starting something a little bit differently this quarter, where we want to be more intentional about where we have roadmap items where we're looking for either your input or kind of collaboration on the development itself. So for Q1, the two areas that we are going to be focusing on is building out native support within DataHub for events, metrics, and dimensions. So what we'd love to hear is how your company is currently using or thinks about or kind of leverages events or metrics or dimensions. That way we can really take the time to have a well-informed perspective about how to model those types of entities within DataHub, so that we're pulling in a really kind of well-rounded picture of what those entities should look like, how they relate to other entities, kind of how you want to enrich them. Are there owners to them? Do they tie to glossaries? Do they belong in a domain? Kind of all of the things kind of related to the metadata graph. So keep an eye out there. I'll be sending out some probably we'll start with kind of a broader survey just to kind of collect more general information, and then ask folks if you want to participate in more kind of focused design sessions, so we can get a good understanding of how to model those out within DataHub. Separately, for another thing that it's actually very widely requested within our feature request portal as well, is the ability to query data directly from DataHub. So you land on a dataset page. Cool, you found that the data set exists, but how do I actually start querying it? So instead of trying to build out kind of our own native support for a query engine, instead what we want to do is integrate with open source tools that are doing just that. So we are targeting Querybook as the kind of query engine embedded within DataHub to query that data directly. So if your company is using Querybook, or if you are interested in helping us with a contribution, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to team up with you. We can, if you want to drive the code contribution from your side, that's fantastic. We can be here to kind of help facilitate that contribution, or we can build out that functionality together. So again, both of these things we will share more information within Slack, but just wanted to call out that in Q2, these are kind of the two high-level feature level areas where we're going to be looking for your input and your development. And I believe that's it. So John,
yay!
I'm going to hand it over to you, sir. Or I guess, Miko, sorry, go for it.
No. I was just going to say, go ahead, John. I was just going to say that I see that we have about 22 people on YouTube. So just welcome. A lot of people came in. So just welcome to those on YouTube and welcome to those who just joined Zoom. Go ahead, John.
Maggie, do you mind stop sharing and I'm going to take over?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So guys, you're with me for, I think, 2 sessions, right? Back to back. Cool.
Buckle up, folks.
Awesome. Hey guys, John here. Today I'm going to give a little bit of an update on two things. The first is Acryl Observe, which is the observability offering in managed DataHub. And then the second thing is a new feature we're rolling out as part of the 0.13 release to DataHub, which is data incidents. So first, let's talk Acryl Observe. I just want to give a quick, recap of our mission on the Observe track. Our mission as the Acryl Observe team is to protect data-driven organizations' most important data assets by focusing on two things. First, detecting data issues when they arrive proactively, and then driving resolution collaboratively across the organization. There's many different stakeholders that are involved when data issues arise, as you guys probably know. And what we're building is, data quality rules or data quality assertions managed and run by DataHub, allowing users to easily create and schedule continuous data quality checks through the DataHub UI, and then share those more broadly inside their organization. We're building ML or AI-powered smart assertions, which look at the table's history and actually predict assertions for the tables based on, around freshness, volume, column, etc. We're building a real-time data health dashboard, which enables central data teams to track issues in real time and to also triage data issues as they come up. And then finally, a system for notifying the correct stakeholders when data issues do come up. Last time, we went over column assertions, which were rolled out at the end of last year, and custom SQL assertions as well. And today, we're going to look at the Databricks integration. So we've just rolled out support for Databricks along all of the types of assertions that we support in DataHub today. That is freshness, volume, column, custom SQL, as well as the AI-powered smart assertions. That's smart freshness, smart volume, and smart column today. In terms of the catalog we support in Databricks, there's kind of two main camps. There's the Unity catalog, which is kind of the forward-looking catalog, and then there's Hive Metastore catalogs. So each of these checks types are going to be supported across both. It doesn't matter if you kind of have the legacy Hive Metastore running on Databricks. All right, I'm just going to do a quick demo of this, and I'm going to jump over to my Acryl instance here where I have a Databricks table. This is actually in a Hive Metastore, and you can see we actually have some checks already set up on it. We've got a freshness check, which basically checks whether the table's been updated in the past 30 days. Actually, it hasn't, so it's just been failing every time we run it. Column checks, which we can use to verify the integrity of individual columns in the table. In this case, we're checking that the ID column is completely unique. That's passing. Custom checks are SQL checks that you can write against the table in Databricks. So we're just writing a basic check here. And then volume, which is around the row count and how that changes over time. Again, just a basic example. So all the basic checks that you would expect are going to be supported in the Databricks integration, and that's already available in Acryl DataHub. All right, now I'm just going to jump back into the slides. So just quick recap, we support all types of assertions. There's also some different ways to run the assertions that are unique to Databricks. So Databricks doesn't have all the same APIs for audit logging and information schemas as maybe Snowflake and BigQuery. So we allow you to use other native constructs like the file metadata column in Databricks to actually determine things like freshness. So a lot of advanced control on how we run these checks on your Databricks tables as well. I'll just close this segment with the kind of advantage of going with Acryl as the data quality provider for your organization. The first is, it's effortless to set up these checks through the UI. They're accessible to everyone inside your organization, and you don't have to write a single line of code or even YAML to get started. DataHub offers a central place to organize the trust signals around your data. So it's a single source of truth for whether your data is healthy, both from a technical and observability point of view, but also from a governance point of view. And then finally, we give you a single link that you can send to anyone inside your organization to check the current status of your data assets. So universally accessible as opposed to buried in a Git repository. All right, and this is available now. So just reach out to the Acryl team if you're already using Acryl or you're thinking about Acryl to learn more about this feature set. Awesome. All right, we're going to move right along to the next segment.
Yeah, I was going to say, and welcome to John again.
I'm back.
So John, if you want to, there's a question in chat about support for DQ. I don't know if that directly relates to what you were covering, but maybe we can just pause for that one and address that.
Yeah, so this is DataHub does support external integrations and native assertions. So we have first class support for grade expectations and DBT tests today. Unfortunately, we do not yet support DQ. However, we have open APIs allowing you to build your own plugins for DQ or existing data quality tools that you may have developed in-house. So the APIs are all available for, producing the checks themselves as well as the results of those checks so that you can see them through the DataHub UI. So feel free to reach out to me after the session and I can kind of share over some resources if that's something you're interested in. All right, let's get onto it. So we're going to talk now a little bit about a new feature coming to open source DataHub. This was actually originally a feature in Acryl DataHub that we saw a lot of love around. So we decided that, to really complete the picture around assertions and data quality, we wanted to bring this core abstraction of data incidents into the open source world. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. All right, so first I'm going to talk about what problems we've kind of found from talking to different organizations over the last few months, specifically along the data quality and observability problem space area. So firstly, data users are often the first that actually encounter data issues. And when they do encounter data issues, they often don't know the underlying source of the problem. So you can imagine someone using a dashboard on Looker who sees that a number looks incorrect and doesn't really know what table is causing that problem because they don't have the visibility into the upstream data. Data users also don't usually know how to fix the underlying source of the problem. They often have to go to another person inside of the org and delegate the responsibility for actually triaging and resolving that problem. And most times there isn't really a formal process to triage or to establish ownership or to communicate the status of data issues when they do occur in real time. And these are kind of the problems that we are looking to solve with some of our features on DataHub. So with that, I'll introduce the data incidents feature. So data incidents really allows you to communicate data issues on any asset, regardless of whether it's a table, a dashboard, a pipeline in Airflow in real time with the broader organization. They allow you to find problem areas with ease. So we provide tools to easily find assets that have active incidents ongoing inside your DataHub instance. We allow you to understand the broader impact of the issues by joining it with the lineage context that's already inside of DataHub. So it's easy to understand who's impacted by a given incident. And then finally, we allow you to resolve those with confidence. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do another quick demo. In this case, I'm going to jump over to my DataHub instance over here. And what you'll see is we've got a table that we ingested from BigQuery called purchase event. And the first thing you'll see on the right side here is a new tab called incidents. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate over to that. And the first feature I'll demo is just actually raising an incident, which means, broadcasting to your organization that something is wrong with this table. And I'm going to use an example of maybe delayed data. So perhaps today this table was delayed. It should be updated every day, but there was an application code bug, maybe pushed into an upstream service that caused this data to be delayed for the day. So what we can do is come into DataHub, or we can use the UI or the API rather to raise an incident to broadcast that knowledge. So I'm going to say data is delayed on 1/25/2024. And then we'll say it's an operational issue. I can also specify something custom. So maybe I'll say it's a freshness issue. Data is delayed today because of upstream problem. And then once I create it, you'll see that, not only do we get this active incident here, but when I refresh, you'll see that anywhere that this purchase event table appears on DataHub, you'll see this badge that indicates to everyone using DataHub that this asset may be unhealthy because it has an ongoing issue. So I'll just show you what that looks like in the search. So you can see if we're in the search, we'll be able to jump right to that issue here as well. And then what I get is kind of a history of the incidents. So right now I'm only looking at those that are active, but I can see all of the incidents that have ever happened on this asset as well. And finally, from here, I can go ahead and resolve the incident. The next thing I'll show you is how to actually triage incidents across your data ecosystem, i.e. find the tables that have ongoing problems. When you search in DataHub search bar, you'll notice a new filter. That's the incidents filter. This allows you to just quickly narrow down to the tables that have active problems so that your central data platform teams can begin to triage the problem set and solve the problems in real time. And then finally, one last thing I'll show you is how incidents will appear in the lineage view. So you'll also notice the incidents will appear here as part of lineage. So if you're browsing, let's say you're exploring a dashboard downstream, you can easily understand whether any upstream tables are currently having problems or not. All right, with that, I'm going to jump back into the presentation. So just a quick recap of what we saw. With data incidents, you'll be able to raise incidents manually through the UI or easily using the GraphQL API if you want to do this in an automated fashion. We've seen some customers already doing this by integrating this into their pipeline infrastructure. For example, raising incidents automatically from Airflow jobs or Dagster runs. You'll be able to understand the status of an individual table just by using the health badge that we already have for assertions. You'll be able to view incident history for all assets, tables, dashboards, pipelines, and more. And then finally, you'll be able to discover assets that have active problems so that you can begin to triage those problems and resolve them. In terms of the availability for what we've just demoed, this will be available actually as part of that V13 release. That was kind of maybe the final feature for that one. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. One last kind of prompt is, if this feature set can help your organization, we would love to know how. So please reach out to me on Slack or to Maggie on Slack if you have feedback, questions, concerns, or you have ideas about how you can start to use this. All right, and with that, I'll hand it back to Miko.
All right, John, don't turn off the screen yet. Hit the next slide. Let me do the introduction. All right, so I just want to say thank you so much, John, Maggie, and Trishanka. I always say our town halls are fast and furious. We have a lot of good information, but I know that we have gotten to the point that everybody here has been waiting on. So I want to re-welcome Kevin Chung and Ajoy. I don't want to mess up your last name, Majumpar. I hope I did it correctly. And they're going to be talking about how Netflix is teaming up to make DataHub more extensible. And they're actually going to be joined by our very own David. Say hi. All right. So I think, David, you're going to share your screen, and I'll read a comment here on YouTube. Someone said this is insanely useful, daily use. Okay, Donovan, you're talking probably, I think, about data incidents. So that's great to hear. All right. So I think there's going to be a lot of love for data incidents. Okay. All right. So with that said, let me hand it over. David, are you going to share your screen? And let's get started. And again, feel free to post your questions in Zoom or YouTube, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Yep, sounds good. Let me get this
Let's rock and
shared.
roll.
All right, let me know if you can see the screen.
You're all good.
All good? All right, I'm David. I'm an engineer at Acryl. I work on the backend platform team. And then I'll let the folks from Netflix kind of take it from here and advance the slide when needed.
Okay. Thanks, David. Thanks for having us. Hello, everyone. For this presentation, I have with me David and Kevin from my team at Netflix. Kevin and I are engineers in the data platform org at Netflix. Our org provides the platform for our data engineers and application engineers to process and store their data into the various data store offerings that we have. And our team, the Data Discovery Services team, provides the catalog that helps in discovering and governing the data across Netflix. So before we talk about the DataHub Platform 1.0 features, I'd like to briefly talk about our platform architecture and also talk about why we decided to use DataHub as a cataloging solution, actually more as a metadata platform product. Next slide. So this is a typical data platform architecture where you have the three vertical layers. The first one represents the online stores. The second one represents the real-time data infrastructure tools. And then the third layer represents our warehouse. You could call it as lakehouse and warehouse too. One point to note over here is we kind of follow a pattern of defining or having an abstraction service in every layer. And I'll talk about what it serves us later on. So in the first layer, you can see a list of all the online store offerings that we have, from Cassandra to caching from CockroachDB. You'll also see a data gateway abstraction. So this is an abstraction service that we provide to our application engineers to store their data. Instead of choosing a specific store like Cassandra, they would just store and choose an abstraction saying they want to store a key value pair, or they want to store a graph. And they would use this abstraction. The abstraction is a service mesh that provides you a caching layer. It provides you a security layer. And the application users don't have to think about the underlying store. All is managed by the platform. The second layer is the real-time data infrastructure layer, wherein we have two abstractions. One is the data mesh, which under the hood uses Kafka to move data from from one store to another. Mostly it's from the online store to the big data warehouse. So data mesh supports more of the real-time streaming. And then there's another abstraction service, which is called Databricks, which doesn't show up over here, but it basically is an umbrella of bunch of tools. One called Caspector that helps our engineers to move data from Cassandra to the warehouse. There are tools that also allows you to move data from Airtable or Google Sheets into the warehouse. Then there's another medium where all the events from our devices go through the Kafka stream into our warehouse. Now, coming to the third layer, this the horizontally I've laid down in terms of how our tools are organized. The topmost layer is more of an interface to our data engineers and scientists. So things like the Jupyter Notebook or the portal, which most of the engineers interact with. And then we have the control services for fast access into our Druid service or Trino. And then at the bottommost layer is the processing engines. Mostly we use Spark, Presto, and most of the data is stored into S3. Now, the third layer, that is the metadata service. And over here, the abstractions that we've defined is, we have defined an abstraction for jobs. So all the jobs, we have a service that abstracts out jobs. Similarly, we have an abstraction for metadata for all the offline stores that we have. So when we started off a journey to build the big data platform, we started building Metacat, which is our cataloging solution. And it serves two purposes. One is to be the federated metastore. So all the Spark engines and Presto goes through this service. It's a central gateway, goes through this service to store the information into the backend. Hive Metastore could be a Snowflake. And it also serves the purpose of a metadata platform wherein users through their jobs or programmatically could enrich the data sets with more business metadata information. And this was a cataloging solution only within the big data warehouse. 5 years back, we wanted to extend the similar capabilities to stores outside of big data warehouse. And that's when we started building the Netflix data catalog. And we took a different approach over here. So the Netflix data catalog service that we've created was more of an aggregator. So we, during the process, we started building the connectors, the ingestion pipelines to gather data from the different data stores where data existed. And it's not only the online or operational stores or the offline stores, but also S3 buckets and other stores where our physical assets were also stored. So during this process, what we've realized that we as a team were in the path of building these connectors and managing it, and rather than the teams that own the data trying to build the ingestion pipeline. And so we wanted to, just a year back, we wanted to evolve the product to be more as a platform where it can be self-served, so that the relevant source system teams could define the asset types or entity types and start ingesting the data into the catalog. And you'll also see policy engine that we build, which kind of provides us the governing features that we needed around the catalog. Next slide. So there were a lot of other capabilities, but over here, the use cases that I'm going through is more around the extensibility features or the self-serve features that we were looking out for in a product. So things like new entity types. I talked about the data gateway abstractions, wherein users could just use a particular key value service. Over there, you see that there are different abstraction types that we want to define, which does not really exist outside of Netflix. So we wanted to define these new entity types or asset types. There is an ask to define an asset type to represent GraphQL schemas. So that's one use case. The other use case is the ownership model. Throughout the year, we've seen that the ownership model seems simple in terms of a data set has the set of owners, but the model kept on changing based on how the requirement was. You want users, you want the org that really owns it for better insights or for better cost attribution. So when we looked at DataHub, its ownership model is different from what we needed. And so that is why we want to define a new custom ownership model. The third use case is more around the self-serve part, where today at Netflix, we have a privacy team and the legal team defining the glossaries, defining the properties that they are interested in. And they work with their partners like the online store team or the offline to have them ingest the data based on the data contract that they define. And so they could just self-serve by defining the glossaries, defining the aspects, and then work with them to ingest the data rather than us as a platform team being in the picture. Next slide. So we were looking both for a catalog product and as a metadata platform. We went through a lot of build versus buy exercise, and we looked at a lot of data catalog in the industry. We selected a few and then evaluated deeply a few products, and then decided on using DataHub. Reasons being, DataHub provided us the extensibility features that we needed so that we could easily define these new entity types, augment existing entity types. It has a better developer experience, a better documented taxonomy, and lastly, I would not say lastly, the solid and large community support. And during our evaluation process, we've evaluated both the functional and the non-functional aspects of it. And we saw that DataHub performed really well in terms of our traffic load and the data that we have. So if you, in addition to the other requirements that we had, the foundational requirement was the extensibility of it. And this extensibility without any code changes. Today, DataHub does have support for custom aspects, but these custom aspects are not treated as a first-class citizen like the system-defined aspects. So we were looking out for the support in terms of where we could define these custom aspects and plug it into the application without any code change, and it should be supported like the system aspects, wherein the API spec shows me the the schema of the custom aspects and include it within a particular entity, let's say data set. Then also for a particular custom aspect, we do have certain validation rules, certain transformations that needs to happen, and it should be closer to the service before storing it into the store. So we wanted these kind of features, and now I'll hand it over to David, who will go through the features and details.
Thank you for that. That was actually, I learned something a little bit more about Netflix's architecture myself. I see a lot of common patterns there, so thank you for that. So I'll skip on to the next slide, where we talk about, what are these key features that kind of takes these use cases that Netflix has and actually makes these custom entities and aspects much more easier to use and extend. The ultimate goal is to be able to extend the built-in aspects and entities at runtime. So today there is a custom aspect process which involves a build process. If the custom aspect process with an external build process doesn't suit your needs, you could always fork DataHub, but that's a massive undertaking, especially if you're a small team, or only looking to make a few small adjustments. As Edgeway mentioned, the APIs should be fully supporting that custom aspects and your custom schemas. So the goal is to have strongly typed model-driven APIs. And as process of defining these new custom aspects or custom entities, validation of those becomes very important to prevent invalid or incorrect data from entering your system. And so we kind of were looking at something that we don't have today, which is a way to extend our validation framework. Certainly we can do the schema-based validation, but there's actually a much more kind of semantic validation that you might think about as well. It's your business rule validation, if you will, where logically this object conforms to the schema, but from a business side of the perspective, it doesn't. And so the idea to be able to extend custom validators to do that kind of validation. So we're building an interface and building a way to define that as well. During the process, we also kind of looked at a couple of other use cases, which involves things like applying mutations to the data before it hits our storage layers, and also side effects. And there's two different varieties of side effects, which is essentially if one thing happens, produce one or more other events that are related to that first event. And so these things are very simple ways to hook and extend your usefulness of creating these custom entities and aspects. The other kind of interesting feature is today our platform supports aspect versioning. What it doesn't really support is a logical versioning, if you will. So you can think of a perhaps entity level versioning where you can at the same time kind of have multiple versions of the same entity and refer to those versions and refer to the current version and interact with our APIs in a much more logical way rather than at a per aspect. So we build on top of that framework that we have with versioning on aspects and build this higher level concept of versioning of entities. So that's a kind of summary of the platform one features.
Hey.
What does that platform architecture look like? This is a very high level view. Mostly it's going to involve something called the entity registry, which is something that we've had in our product for a little while. It is actually the entry point for custom aspects today. The idea is to take this existing construct of an entity registry, which, as you might imagine, contains entities, the aspects that are associated with those entities. It will also now include additional information, such as the validation of those entities, the various mutation hooks or the side effect hooks as part of that entity registry. The other kind of component is today the entity registry is kind of like instantiated when DataHub boots up or starts up. And we're going to take that entity registry and make it more real time so that you can make changes, make that entity registry mutable. So that's the runtime component there. And as it is today, the entity registry is going to interface with all of our service layer objects. So this is a little bit stepping behind the scenes on the other side of these APIs, so that our entity services can handle custom aspects just like anything else. It makes no difference in essence of whether it's a built-in object or not. And then on top of that is our storage layer underneath there, whether it's SQL or Elasticsearch. But that's kind of just the high level kind of architecture, and really the entity registry, the point of it is being the star core component of this architecture. All right, so when do you get these nice new tools or nice new features? So the OpenAPI interface, we're looking at Q1. The validation stuff, mutation processing, the side effects hooks that I created, these will initially be build time as we build towards the runtime aspects, but those will be done in Q1. In fact, the next release, 0.13, will include both of those items. After that, we're going to take a look at the logical versioning of entities, and then we'll really kind of concentrate on making that from a build time into the runtime aspect, or the runtime version of that. And the GraphQL layer, it's kind of deprioritized. I don't want to say deprioritized, but the strongly typed version of the GraphQL APIs will be later, estimate right now. The non-strongly typed version of the GraphQL API will be available in Q1. It's just that strong typing won't be there. So that's kind of our tentative roadmap for the 1.0 features, some of which will be landing in the very next release. So I think that's pretty exciting. And this is, my last slide. So I'll turn it back over to Miko.
Hey, David, I wanted to ask you,
Oh,
sorry, one thing I wanted to jump in there. For V13, 013, do we have a timeline on when we expect to get that out? Because I know that there's a couple of things that we want to get in before we cut that release.
So one of the most exciting things for me personally for the next release is actually something called structured properties, which is a really cool concept. And so this structured properties, I think we should talk about in the next town hall, maybe.
Yeah.
So good topic for discussion in the future. Structured properties kind of takes custom properties, which is a generic key value kind of string, and takes it to the next level. Allows you to apply typing information. So your custom property can be of type Boolean or integer. It can be a date. You can apply certain validation rules. And in fact, structured properties, the validators itself is actually based on a common model that we're talking about for Data Platform 1.0. And so structured properties is really going to be, I think, the blocker for the next release until that's feature complete, specifically with deletion. Deleting structured properties. That's what's holding up that release. I'm hoping to have something committed and ready to go probably in the next couple of weeks is kind of where we're looking at.
Okay. So V013, we can kind of tentatively target maybe mid-February for the community.
Yep. And I think that we can definitely talk about that. Talk about structured properties in more detail. There's a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
And I think we need to work on documentation, a bunch of stuff like that before it's released.
Yeah. And we've talked about structured properties in prior town halls, but I think we've kind of breezed past the power of it because we've looked at it as part of kind of like a documentation form or verification form experience. So yeah, there's definitely a ton for us to dig into, and we should make sure that we dig into that in the February session. All right. That's all for my interruption.
No, that's fine. Not interruption. Anyway, so all right, guys. So for everybody, round of applause. Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you everybody for joining us, especially Netflix. That was an awesome presentation. We have a lot of requests for the presentation. So though I know Maki put it in chat, again, for the edification of YouTube, we will indeed be sharing the recording. So I want to repeat to everybody that wants to see this, the live stream on YouTube is auto-recorded. So all you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel and you will see the live streams, okay? The other thing is that you'll also be able to get the slides. So Netflix said that they were fine with us giving you the slides. So we'll go ahead and put that in a PDF along with even our slides and send that over to you. So you guys know, as a community manager, me and Maggie, we would like to know what you guys valued most So I am going to do one more poll to get your feedback, and then we're going to get you guys out of here. And the conversation does not have to stop here, everybody. We have the Slack channel. If you guys have questions, even though we sign off, please go ahead and ask them. So I just want to find out really quickly what session you guys found to be most useful. And I do have a section where I'm asking you to give us feedback as well on what you'd like to see. Like if you love the Netflix thing, and not the Netflix thing, but the presentation, let us know. And we'll do more of that. So I'd love to get you guys' feedback, and then you guys can get out of here. Those of you on YouTube, thank you so much. Love the interaction. I see we still have 15 people there. If you're on YouTube, could you just type in which session you found most valuable? We had the data incidents one. We had the navigating data docs. Well, and see developer update.
Yeah, we didn't have the DataHub doc session. We skipped that one.
We skipped our DataHub doc session. We had the Acryl Observe Databricks. We had the deep dive, and I did ask kind of what would you guys like to see. So if you guys could go ahead and fill that in before you leave, we will see you guys in a month. And if you're on YouTube, feel free to put it in the comments. So which session was the most valuable and what you guys would like to see. And then we will get you guys out of here. Yay! And John, what a trooper today too, huh? Back to back, you go.
The true MVP.
True MVP, yeah. And don't forget, we have the marathon coming up, and we have another DDL show coming up as well, very special with Shashanka. So guys, make sure you subscribe to the calendar. All those events will be up fairly shortly, and you guys will be the first to know. So I'll go ahead here. I'll share the poll. We're about 70% participation on the poll. So I'll let a few more people reply, and then I'll share the poll, and then we'll get everybody out of here. Let me see, a few more responses coming in. Thank you, everybody. And again, thank you to Kevin and Ajoy. That was really, really good. Thank you guys so much. And David. Yay. All right, I will go ahead and share the poll, and then I will get you guys out of here. So let's see here. Well, I'll take the fact that people said developer update, navigating the docs is something they wanted.
Yeah, we'll be sure to share that out.
So there's no surprise here. The winner is Netflix. I mean, I'm just, waha. I'm not surprised. Thank you so much. So about 67% of you were like Netflix, data incidents. I could see there's a lot of pain. 63% of you said love the data incidents. And then we have about 25%. I'll just say we probably need to make good on the developer update, Maggie.
Yeah, we have that. We have that pre-recorded. We can share that out.
We'll share that out with you. And then we have the Acryl Observe and Databricks is about 30%. So guys, thank you so much. And if you put comments in, don't worry, I'm going to go ahead and read those in depth, and it will inform our feedback. So thank you guys so much. Everything is recorded on YouTube. You guys have a fantastic week. And remember, February 8th, we'll see you at the marathon. And then we have DDL on the 14th. Our events are typically on Tuesdays, guys. So please join us. We're going to have an insightful year.
They're typically on Thursdays.
They're typically on Thursdays. We do have Tuesdays too, though. We have the webinars on Tuesdays. So typically Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we'll see you guys there. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks everybody.
We'll see ya.
Thanks everybody.